While I was cleaning the house the other day, for some reason I thought of the parable of the sower. Probably because it's been nice weather and the idea of spring cleaning and getting house, soul and garden in order was on my mind. Two things particularly struck me that I haven't thought of before. First, sowing seed is not a careful practice, especially the way it's described in the parable. You grab a handful of seed and fling it far and wide, hoping to cover as much ground as fast as possible. The seed lands on the ground and you might rake it in, but otherwise it will lie on the surface wherever it falls, and it will germinate as best it can. If you were to individually place the seeds in the ground, say in a line of little holes, that isn't sowing, that's planting. So if we are spreading the good news, evangelising on a sowing model, we fling our arms wide and generously, trying to cover as much ground as possible, trusting that some will land on good soil. This is, and should be, very different from careful planting. Planting usually involves much more planning, preparation, care and tenderness. It's a very different approach. Secondly, I've often heard the parable used to tell us that not everyone responds to the gospel in the same way, or to make us consider what kind of soil we are and how we respond to the good news. Today, I had a different thought. When a farmer or gardener has a piece of ground to grow in, they can just scatter the seeds and hope. But the more successful farmers and gardeners prepare the ground. If the ground is stony, they will remove the stones so that the seeds can grow. If there are weeds in the soil with the seeds, the gardener or farmer will watch them closely and weed the soil, removing the weeds before they can damage the crop. If there's a path through their growing land, well then the farmer will divert the path around the outside and break up the ground to make it fit for growing, maybe even install a scarecrow to help protect those seeds. Basically, the sower in the parable seems to use a pretty questionable technique, though perhaps the patch of ground being sown in is so large that the percentage loss is fine?
As communities of hope, are we called to sow or plant? There is worth in both, but it's helpful to acknowledge there are differences in the models. Perhaps we are actually, ultimately, going to be doing both. Probably initially sowing, but later moving on to include planting. Either way, how we prepare and clear and tend and cultivate the ground is going to be key to how successful we can be.
At the Beacon Project, we are committed to trying to reach and offer connection with and for all in our parish. Our geographical patch with a population of around 36,000. We can't plant everywhere, we know that, but we can hopefully sow seeds, ideas and hints across our whole patch over time. And like plants, it will take patience, preparation and care to see the results. Ultimately, we want all the places that we sow or even plant to be good soil. We want everyone to be able to respond to the good news.
So the question is, how are we preparing the ground to ensure all the soil that we sow on is good? That everyone is given the best chance possible to grow and to thrive. We don't want to exclude folk because their life is full of weeds or rocks or thieving birds. We want everyone to be reachable and included, so we will need to prepare the ground. Our prayer for all of us, for all the communities of hope, is that we will each be able to prep the land sufficiently, wisely and well, before we sow with great abundance and with hope.